Hi, in today's episode, I'm going to interpret the natal chart of Roy Orbison, if I pronounce that correctly, using the NameAsteroids. This is actually a very tragic example, but it does show how literal these things play out. So, first of all, he was a musician and he was married to Claudette. Her name is at 14 degrees in Aquarius in the 5th house. Now, she was the reason behind his creative expression. She was the one who motivated him to script down the words for his song, "Oh Pretty Woman." NameAsteroids found in the 5th house tie-in with our self-expression, the development of our creativity and potentials. It also ties in with how we define our own signature and our own style. So therefore, her placement makes a lot of sense. Aside from that, she was also the mother to his 3 children. He had 3 sons with her. Now, he was very devoted and committed to his passion, and he was oftentimes on the road, and that caused a detachment to Claudette, which is shown by the placement in Aquarius and the 5th house, meaning that his passions, his hobbies, and also his self-employment could potentially affect the relationship. And it did. Because he was so often away from home, it affected their marriage negatively, and she felt neglected, and that eventually led her to cheat on him, and that is shown by the trine to Lilith. It's through his actions that the Lilith archetype is awakened in her. Now, Lilith is also linked to neglect, because in the mythology, Lilith was also the one who didn't feel seen, didn't feel respected or recognized, and therefore she did what she wanted to do. The Lilith archetype is the rebellious woman who stands her own ground. Eventually they divorced, but soon after they reunited. However, Claudette died in a tragic motorcycle accident, and she died in his arms. Now this is seen through the square aspect to Mercury. So Mercury is in the 8th house of death. Mercury symbolizes arms, and the square aspect is tension. Now he was left with 3 of his children. 2 years after Claudette has died, his house got on fire. This is seen through Polus in the 4th house. So the 4th house is a place of residence, it's your home. And wherever Polus resides is the impact. It's the catapult. The placement of Polus in his 4th house is very fitting for what he had to experience, which is a house fire. But sadly, in that house fire, he lost 2 of his 3 children, which is Anthony and Dwayne. Now, Anthony is at 8 degrees, which is the degree of death, in the sign of Aquarius, which is sudden. And Dwayne at 15 degrees, which is the degree of assassination, in the sign of Aquarius, sudden. Now, I wish to bring your attention to Ceres and Pluto. If you have these 2 in an aspect to one another, the archetype somehow oozes throughout your life, and it has to do with loss and separation and reunion. So this aspect in his natal chart is very descriptive for what he experienced. If you read about the mythology of Ceres, you'll understand, because she is the mother or the parent who lost her child. The reason I'm mentioning this is because you should never judge from a name asteroid by itself. The natal chart has to point in that direction. So in his case, he has an aspect between Ceres and Pluto, which validates that the loss of someone, the loss of a child, is potentially a part of his life story. And if such person has children, then there is a potential for that mythology to unfold itself throughout life. However, I also wish to mention that it's not always linked to death. Sometimes it's just children that go their own way, or cutting ties with the parent who has this aspect in their natal chart. Roy also had a very good friendship with Johnny Cash. Johnny is found at 5 degrees Virgo in the 12th house. Name asteroids that are in the 12th house are often based on unconditional love. Time and distance don't seem to matter. These are the people that understand you on a very deep level. Sometimes these people do things without expecting anything in return. You can compare it to charity, which was kind of the case because Johnny purchased the burnt house of Roy and made it into a memorial for the children who had lost their lives. Roy became known for his sorrow, which is seen through asteroid Rip, which is rest in peace, in the 10th house of public reputation. But Rip is in the sign of Cancer, which ties in with family matters and home. So this chart is pretty literal. It is a very sad example. This was solely meant for educational purposes onto the name asteroids and how you can interpret them, and also to mention that you always have to begin with the natal promise to understand how a name asteroid could potentially unfold or what their meaning may be in your life. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.